surrender of Italy in September 1943 complicated an Axis situation in the Mediterranean theater of war. A lot of Greek islands were controlled by Italian army, and now these Italian units were surrendering to the Allies. Thanks to that, Allies, mostly Brits, were able to capture these islands. Churchill's plan was to use these islands as a possible base for the landing operation against Greece, and then to make a march through the entire Balkans into the Germany from the south. But Germans had another idea, and they started a couple of sea-air operations to recapture all these islands. Their operation was swift, quick and devastating. Many of these islands were captured quickly, mostly because British and Italian units couldn't cooperate with each other because of various reasons, like language, like lack of trust and other things. One of these operations was an Operation Leopard, a German attack on the island of Leros, which you can see here, which was performed by the units landing from the sea and units landing from the air. And this is one of the scenarios from the game Fallschirm, released in the battles of the World War II system, which is company battalion scale system. Here you can see a setup for this battle. A German player might choose where he wants his units to land, while British units have fixed setup. They are set up historically, and you can see that they are mostly scattered all over the island, while Germans might choose their landing zones. So this is quite good for them, because strength of both sides is pretty equal. British units all have 2 strength points. German units have mostly 2 or 3 as well, save to the some better ones like Airborne battalion. But Germans are allowed to choose where they're going to attack. Also, Luftwaffe ruled in the air, and because of that, German player has 2 units of the ground attack air force to support his attack, and this is pretty good support. Also, Germans might get some reinforcements during the game, while Brits get only 1 unit. So, advantage is on German side, and I think this is a scenario where they can win quite easily. But of course, it is not. This is not a typical one-sided scenario, because terrain is favoring defender. These are mostly hills here with some villages, so terrain is pretty good when you are defending, but quite hard when you are attacking. Also, a German player has some elite units from the Special Regiment Brandenburg, and you can see they have +4 information here. This means if these units are attacking alone during night turns, then they get +4 combat modifier, which is pretty strong and allows them to make a better attack. Some of them are coming later during the game. So that's all, I believe, when it comes to the setup and stuff. We can start our game. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to capture the island of Leros, and Germans gain victory points equal to the day where they are eliminated all the defenders. So the sooner they will be able to capture the entire island, the better. We are starting with air phase, and in this phase each player places his air units. Only German player has his air units in this scenario, so one of them will be here and one of them will be there. They are allowed to operate in the 5 hexes range from the hex where they were placed. So I place them here, so I think I will be able to use them to support my attacks. There are no anti-air artillery, there are no enemy fighter units, so that's all when it comes to the air phase. Next we have airborne assault phase, and in this phase we have to check for any units landing from the air. We have one such unit here, and I have to make rolls to see how it lands. First I have to check on which hex it lands. It's designed hex, but I have to see if it will really land here or not. I have to make a roll, and if I roll 5 or 6, it lands on this hex. If I roll 1 to 4, it is moved on the another hex. I got 5, so it lands on this hex. And now I have to make a roll check for possible losses, because when unit lands on the clear terrain, it suffers no losses. But if it lands on any other kind of terrain, it suffers some losses, and I have to see what kind of how many strength points this one is going to lose. These are hills, so I have to check proper table. Airborne losses during the drop. These are parachute units, and these are hills. So if I roll 3, 4, 5 or 6, this unit will suffer 1 point loss. So let me check. I rolled 2, so no losses at all. Pretty good. So that's all when it comes to the landing phase. Next we have sea landing phase. Between these two phases there is also artillery barrage phase, but we don't have any artillery units in this scenario, so we don't have to care about it. And now my naval units are landing. None of them lands on the hex which is occupied by enemy, so I don't have to care about them this phase more, because there are no attacks. If any of these units would land on the hex which is occupied by enemy unit, then it would have to attack such unit instantly, but nothing like this is happening, so we can go right into the movement phase. And now, all the German units were landing from the sea or from the air. Because of that, they have their movement points halved. So all of them, I think, have 5 movement points, so now they have 2.5. Okay, let's go and move them. Now, they are moving down the road. You can see there is a road here, so it's a half of movement point, and that's all. They are moving down the hill, so it's 2, and they are moving down the hill, so it's 2. Okay, now here. They are moving here, so they get 2. They are moving here, so they have 2, and they cannot move any more. They are moving here, so they have 2. They are moving here, spending a half of movement point, but they have to stop because they are entering enemy zone of control. And because of that, they cannot move here, there or anywhere else, because when you are entering enemy zone of control, you have to stop. So that's all for the German movement phase, and next we have Allied counter-attack phase. In this phase, Allied player is allowed to move his units 1 hex only and attack enemy units. A limitation is that you cannot move your units that are already in the enemy zones of control. So I think that there is no possibility for counterattack for allies, because none of these units have enemy units in the 1 hex range, and these units are already in the enemy zones of control, so they cannot counterattack. So that's all for counterattack phase, and next we are moving into the combat phase. Let's start here. German units have 7 strength points, while British unit has 2. So it's 3 to 1. Next, I have combat engine. First I'm going to use this airborne. Ground attack air force. So they provide me 5 points. So I have 7 plus 5, so it's 12. So it's 12 against 2, so it's 6 to 1. sorry, 7 to 1 because I have combat engineers, and 8 to 1 because I am attacking from the two opposite directions. And so I have totally of 8 to 1, and now defender is on the heels, so it's -2, so it's 7 to 1, 6 to 1. So the odds are 6 to 1. I have to make a roll in the combat results table. In the 6 to 1 column, with 2d6, it is 6. 6 in 6 is B2, so that's pretty good. Why? Because they cannot retreat. You cannot retreat through the hexes that are in the enemy zones of control, and because of that they cannot retreat, and they have to suffer 2 points lost. And because all the British units have 2 points, then they are eliminated, which is good, and Germans are allowed to control this hex. Okay, next attack goes here. I will also use my ground attack Air Force, so I have, let me check, 7 and 8, it is 4, each of them has 2, plus 5, so it is 9. Oh, I forgot about one thing. As for this battle, I still have to make a roll for the losses. Yes, defender was eliminated, so I don't have to make a roll for for defender's losses, but still I have to make a roll for attacker's losses. So let's check for the combat losses table. Defender had 2, we have +2 because it was a heal, so it's +2, -1 because there was an attack from 2 opposite directions, so it is 4-5. Why not combat engineers? Because combat engineers are not modifier is not included in the combat losses table. So it's 4 and 5. Let me make a roll. It is 6, and because it is 6, Germans suffer no losses. Good. Okay, let's return here. We have 9 against 2, so it's 4 to 1. But since they are on the heels, it is 3 to 1 and 2 to 1. So the final odds are 2 to 1, and wow, the result roll is pretty good. It is 2. 2 in the 2 to 1 is B2. So defender has to retreat 2 hexes. 1, 2, and attacker might pursue them. Attacker might also move like this. He can move directly on the road of escape, but he can move 1 hex away. So for example, since this unit was here, I can move 1, 2, or 1, 2 if I want to, but I'm going to move here with all of them. And now I have to make a rolls for losses. Germans had 9, so the verse is 6-10, and -2 because of the heals, it is 2-3. It is 9, so no losses. And now for allies, they had 2 and +2 because of the heal, so the verse is 6-10. The result is 7, so 6-10, no losses for Germans, so they were pretty lucky. Okay, and now the hardest battle. We have 4 against 2, so it's 2 to 1. And allies are on the heels, so it is 2 to 1, 1 to 1, and 1 to 2. This can be pretty hard. Oh, 11 in 1 to 2, it is A2. So defender has to retreat 2 hexes, 1, 2. No good. Or maybe somewhere else, let me check. 1, 2, okay. But no. I have to retreat 2 hexes away from the enemy, so no. 1, 2. This is correct. And now let's make our losses rolls. Allies had 2, +2, it is 6-10. It is 7. Okay, Germans were lucky, with suffering no losses. And now Germans had 4, -2, it is 1. It is 8, so no losses at all. Okay. That wasn't very bloody combat we have here or there, but we were able to eliminate a single British unit here, so that was good. Okay, next we have supply phase, but special scenario rules say that we don't have to include supply rules in this scenario, so we can go right into the British actions. Okay, we have no any landing phase in the, when it comes to the Brits, because all the British units are starting already on the board, so we can move right into the British movement phase. So, what British units are going to do? First, I think I will fortify some of them. So, they spend all their movement points and they get fortification marker, and this marker provides them +1 for defense, which might be pretty good. Next, this unit fortifies itself here, and they move here. 1, 2, 3, 4, they move here as well. Okay, now here 1, 2, 3, 1, sorry, no, they were here, a half, because when you are moving down the ground road you spend a half of your movement point, so a half, 2 and half, a half, 1 and 3, a half, 1, 1 and half, 3 and half, a half, 1, 1 and half, 2, and they are here. So that's all for Brits. And now let's see if Germans are going to make any counterattacks, because they can. They cannot, because they are already in the enemy zone of control. As for them, they technically they can, but moving here would make them to attack all these British units, which is not something I would like to do. And as for them, they can move here, but attacking these units alone wouldn't be a very good idea. Same here, this unit has only, let me check, three strength points, so attacking them wouldn't be a good idea either. So, no German counterattacks. We move to the British combat phase, and I am attacking here. I have 6 against 2, so it's 3 to 1, and they are on the hills, so it's 2 to 1 and 1 to 1. Let's make a roll. It is 8 in the 1 to 1. It is nothing. So no one has to retreat, and they stay where they were. And now let's make a combat losses tape roll. Allied had 8, so they 6, so they have 6 to 10, minus 2 because of the hills, so it's 2, 3, and 9. No losses for Germans. And now Germans, they had 2 plus 2 because of the hills, so it's 6, 10. It is 9, so the Allied units have to suffer 1 point. So let me check. I have A4 reef, so they are going to suffer 1 point. So we have okay, this is not the first unit that suffered any losses, because this unit was already eliminated. And that's all for the Allies. Yeah, that's all. So we are moving into turn 2. We are starting with air phase, so I have to place my air units on the board. One of them will be here, and one of them will be... Oh no, I think here and there. Okay. Next we have sea landing, air landing. We have no any actions like that in this turn, so we can skip them. And next we are moving into the German combat phase. So, sorry, movement phase. So, where Germans are going to move? I think I will start here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 and half. 3 and half, they will fortify themselves on this hex. When you are playing against another human player, you can use concealment options that allows you to move your units like here, and they are only shown from the other side when they are attacking. So this might make the game more interesting, I believe. And as for Germans here, I'm not sure if I'm going to attack, so I will... As for now, I think my units are too weak here to perform successful attack here, or maybe not. I will try. Okay, let's risk. So I will attack with all my German units this hex. So that's all for German movement. And next we have Allied counterattack phase. I don't think Allies can successfully counterattack anywhere. Well, they can move here and attack here, but they have they are fortified. And if I would move my units here, I would lose my fortifications here, so not. So no, I'm not going to move them. Let's go to the German combat phase. I will start here, and I will use this ground attack air force counter here. Okay, let's calculate our strength. I have 4, 3, and 2. So it's 7 and 2, 9, plus 5. So it is 14. It is 14 against 2, so it's 7 to 1. And now 6 to 1 because of the fortification, 5 to 1 and 4 to 1 because of the heals. So let's make a roll. I got 6, 6 in the 4 to 1. It is B2. So they are eliminated because they cannot retreat anywhere. Yes, they cannot retreat here because you can see there is a C. And now I still have to make a roll for German losses. Allies had 2 plus 3, so it's 11, 15 verse. Oh hell! 2 strength point loss for Germans. So 2 German units have to suffer 1 point loss. Okay, so I can take this hex, and next combat goes here. I will use my air force as well, so I have here, let me check, 2, 4 and 2. So I have 6 plus 5. So it's 11. 11 against 6. So it's 2 to 1. 3 to 1 because of the combat engineers. And 2 to 1, 1 to 1 because of the heals. So it's 1 to 1. I got 4. 4 in the 1 to 1. It is B1. So even so, defender has to retreat. They can only retreat here, and Germans might move here. And now let's calculate the losses. Germans had 11, so it's 11, 15, minus 2 because of the heals, so it's 4, 5. Oh, that was close. I got 11, in the 4, 5 it is 1. If I would get 12, then Brits would suffer 2 points loss, but even so, they suffered 1. Okay, so let me check for A reef. Oh, they were already weakened because they suffered 1 point loss before, so they are eliminated. I forgot about it. And now, as for Germans, Brits had 5 points, and it was plus 2 because of the heals, so it was 5 plus 2, it is 11, 15 verse, and I got 5, 11, 15, 5, so 1 point loss for Germans. Okay, time for Brits. What are they going to do? This part of the island is already controlled by Germans. They can defend here quite well, I believe. And as for them, I will fortify 2 of the British units here. And I will retreat 1 of them here. And as for them, they are going to fortify themselves. So, that's all for Brits. They are not going to attack anywhere. Oh, I should remove this air unit. And that's all for the second part of the second turn of the day 1. And next we have night turn. Night turns are, well, pretty hard, because all your units might move onto adjacent hex only. If you are attacking in the night turn, you have to halve your strength, and you also have to make a roll for possible negative modifiers during the night combat, and you cannot use your AO units. So this is not a good turn for attacks, as well, maybe if you have devastating advantage against the enemy. So I will fortify my Germans here, and when unit is fortified, it doesn't have to attack adjacent enemy units. If your unit is not fortified, it has to attack adjacent enemy units, but if it's not, if it's fortified, it is free to perform attacks. Okay, so that's all, and now here. Half, and that's all, and that's all. So, that's all for Germans and Brits. All I am going to do is to fortify this unit in the village of Leros. And that's all for the night turn. And this concludes day 1. Okay, we are starting day 2, and you can see that more German units are appearing. They are going to enter the game from the sea landing or from the air landing. There is also 1 more British unit which is going to be transported into Leros if it is still in the British hands, and that's why I placed my unit here to make sure I will keep this seaside town. So let's start day 2. We are starting with air phase. Again, I have 2 of my ground attack AO units available. There is no enemy anti-air artillery in this game, so they suffer no losses, which is good. And next we have air landing phase. I have this unit which lands from the air, so I have to make a roll to see if it lands properly. Yeah, I got 6, good. It lands right on the hex I wanted it to land. Okay, that's great. Next we have sea landing. So they are landing here, and they are landing there. Okay, that's all for the sea landing. And if enemy would have any artillery, then he would be able, of course, to fire at my landing units, but allies have no artillery in this scenario, so this is pretty good for Germans. And now I have to move my units. So where I'm going to move? I think I would like to make a massive attack against them. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Half, 1, half and 1, a half and 1, and 1 and half. Okay, so all my German units are here. I think they are not going to attack. They will stay where they are. And now I have to choose where I'm going to use my air force. One of them is going to attack here, and one of them is going to support this attack here. Oh, I forgot to move the marker. So let's resolve our attacks. First here, I have 3 of my German units each of them with the strength of 2. I believe, let me check if I am right. Yes, each of them has 2, attacking this British unit with a strength of 2 as well. So it is 6 against 2, so it's 3 to 1. 4 to 1 because they are attacking from the opposite directions. And now 3 to 1 because they are fortified, 2 to 1 and 1 to 1 because they are on the hill. So it is 1 to 1, and it is 6 in the 1 to 1, nothing. So each side remains where it is. And now we have to roll for losses. Germans had 6 plus 1 and minus 2, so it's 4-5 verse. It is 10. 10 in the 4-5 verse is minus 1, so British unit suffers 1 point loss. And now German losses. Brits had 2, plus 1 because of the fortification, plus 2 because of the hills, minus 1 because of being attacked from opposite directions, so it is 6-10. And we have 8 in 6-10, 1 point loss for Germans. Okay. German units are probably not much stronger than Allied, but even some of them you can have 2 points of 2. So even if they suffer 1 point loss, they still have 2 and 1. So they are a bit stronger than the British units that have 2 and 1 only. Okay, so now another combat goes here. They have 4 plus 5, so it's 9. 9 against 2, so it's 4 to 1. 3 to 1 because they are fortified, and 2 to 1 because they are in the town. So it's 2 to 1, and this is quite important because if Germans will be able to capture this Leros town, then Allies wouldn't be able to unload their reinforcements. So I got 6 in the 2 to 1. It is B1. Great. Great. But well, wait. Of course. Well, nothing. They can retreat here. So Germans are taking this town, which is pretty good. So now this unit wouldn't be able to land. Okay, that's great. And now let's make rolls for losses. And Germans had 9, so it's 6-10. Minus 2, it's 2-3. Oh wow! It is 2. In the 2-3, it is minus 1 for Allies. B reef, minus 1. And now German losses. British unit had 2. Plus 2, it is 6-10. It is 11. 6-10 in 11. Wow, it is minus 2. So German unit suffers 2 points losses. At last it was strong unit with 4 strength points. And next battle goes here. I have 2, 4, 8, 10 and 12. So it's 12 plus 5, it is 17. It is 17 against 2, 4 and 6. 17 against 6, it is 3 to 1. It is 3 to 1, 2 to 1 because of the fortification, 1 to 1 and 1 to 2 because of the hills. So it is 1 to 2, and I got 9, 1 to 2 in the and 9. It is A1. So attacker has to retreat 1 hex. So this attack was repulsed, and now we have to make a roll for losses. As for Germans, they have 17, so it's 16-20 verse, minus 3, 1, 2, 3, it is 4-5. I got 12. Oh, well, still Allies suffered heavy losses. They lost one of their units. And now German losses. Allies had 6. 1, 2, 3. So it's 21-25 verse. Okay, it is 8. 2 points loss for Germans. No good. 8-22 is losing 2. Okay. That's all for combat phase. Yes, that's all for the German combat phase. Next we have a British movement phase. And wow. Well, they can still move here, and well, that's all they can do. I think Brits are already pretty surrounded, and they don't have much stuff to do because they lost some of their units, and what's worse, they couldn't get reinforcements, which will make their situation harder, and so all they can do now is to defend their positions. So they are not going to attack anywhere, I believe. No, they cannot. So we are moving into turn 2. We are starting with air phase, and I am placing my Stukas here and there, and where I'm going to move. I think I will move here. They will try one more, and they are going to keep this position here without any attacks. Okay, so that's all for Germans, and Allies perform no counterattacks. So we have to all we have to do is to resolve German attacks. I believe that this game is going to end quickly now, so let's go. I will start here. I have now 5 against 1. So it is 5-1, 6-1 because of attack from different from opposite directions, 5-1, 4-1, 3-1 because of the hills and fortifications. So it's 3-1. I got 7. In the 3-1 it is B1, so they are eliminated. And even so, I have to make a roll for German losses. Allies had 1, +1 because of the fortification, +2 because of the hills, so it's 6-10. It is 8. In the 6-10 it is -1. So one of the German units is suffering 1 point loss. Okay, and I am going to make a massive attack here with both of my ground attack units. So I have 12. Sorry, I have 11. I have 11, 21, and 25. Sorry, not 25. They have only 2. So it was 21. So it's 23. I have 23 against 5. 23 against 5 is 5-1. 6-1 because of attack from opposite directions. 5-1 because of the fortification. 2-1. Sorry, sorry. It was 25 against 5, so it's 5-1. 6-1 because of attack from opposite direction. 5-1 because of the fortification. 4-1, 3-1 because of the hills. So that's all. We have 3-1. Let's make a roll. And wow! Wow, that's 3. 3 in the 2-1 is B2. So each unit has to retreat 2 hexes. And they cannot. And they cannot because they are completely surrounded. They have no hexes that are free from enemy zones. And because of that, they have to suffer losses. So now they have to suffer 2 points losses because of being unable to attack. So I will eliminate this unit. Okay, so that's all for the Allies' attacks. No, I have to resolve to check for losses now. Germans had 23, so it's 21-25, plus 1 because of attack from opposite directions, and 1, 2, 3 because of hills and fortifications, so it's 11-15. It is 8 in the 11-15, it's -1, so 1 British unit suffers 1 point loss. This is going to be this unit, and it already had 1 point loss, 1 point, so it is eliminated. And now for for German losses, Brits had 5, so it's 4-5, 1, 2, 3, and -1, so it's 11-15. It is 5 in the 11-15, it's -1 for Germans. Okay, that's all for the German attacks. As for Brits, well, they are still defending. They cannot make any successful attacks. Well, their end is coming close quickly. So next we have a night turn. And like you remember, I have to remove AO units. As you remember, night turns are not a very good turns to fight, unless you have a really devastating advantage, just like we have here. So I will move them here, they will move here, they will move there, and that's all for the German movement. And next I'm going to make my attack. This attack here will be pretty hard, but I think I have enough units to make a successful attack against this British unit. So, German's total strength is 16, and it is halved because of attack in the night turn. So it is 8. 8 against 2 is 4-1. I have 5-1 because of attack from different directions, and 6-1 because of attacking from 4 directions. If you attack from the 4, 5 or 6 directions, you get additional modifiers. So I have 6-1, 5-1 because of the fortification. Sorry, but first I have to make another roll for a possible modifier for the night combat. It is 4. Each side suffers 1 point loss. Okay, this is pretty bad for Allies. They have 1 point loss. And the Germans too. But now Germans had 7 against 1. So it's 7-1. 8-1 because of attack from opposite direction. 9-1 because of attack from 4 directions. So I have 9-1. 8-1 because of the fortification. 7-1, 6-1 because of the hills, so it's 6-1, and it is 4. 4 is in the 6-1 is B2. Well, they are done. And now I have to make a roll for possible German losses. They had 1 and plus 3, so it's 6-10, and -1, -2, so it's 2-3. 4 in the 2-3, no losses for Germans. So Germans were able to capture this hex, and well, I think they are going to end this battle in the next turn. Alright, we are starting day 3, and in the day 3 German player gets 2 more airborne units. Well, I don't think I will ever even make use of them, but I will make them land here and there. So let's start air phase. I am placing my air units here. Next I have to make rolls for their landing. First for them 6, so they are landing here, and as for them 2, well, I have to make a roll where they are going to land. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they are landing here, and now I have to make a roll for the losses, since they are both landing on the hills. So first for them, 2, no losses, good. And now for them, 3, 1 point loss. So 8 Brandenburg suffers 1 point loss. Okay, that's all for the movement. And now let's go to for the landing. Let's go to the German movement phase. 1, half and 1, half and 1, half, 1, 1 and half, half, 1 and 1, 1, 2 and half. I think I can move all of them. They are pretty weak. You can have max of 24 strength points on the single hex, but well, all of these units are pretty small, so they are going to move right here. I think they cannot. 2, 2 and half. So that's all for Germans. And we have 1 combat. I will use all of my remaining ground attack air force to make this attack really superior. And now I have to count German strength. Okay, I have total of 35 points here. 35 against 4. 35 against 4 is 9 to 1, and I have 10 to 1 because of my combat engineers, and even more because of attacking from opposite directions, but I have I can use no more than 10 to 1 odds. So it's 10 to 1, 9 to 1 because of the fortification, and 8 to 1, 7 to 1 because of the hills. So the final odds are 7 to 1. So it's 7 to 1, and the roll is 5. 5 in the 7 to 1 is B3. So Brits have to suffer 3 points loss. I have C reef and D reef. So C reef is eliminated and the D reef remains with 1 point loss. And now as for losses, Germans had 35, so it's 31-35, plus 1 because of the attacking from opposite directions, and -1, -2 and -3 because of the hills and fortification. It is 6. It is 1. So the last one unit is eliminated, and I have to make a roll for German losses. Allies had 4, so it's 4, 5, plus 1, plus 2 and -1, so it's 11, 15, 9, 1 point loss for Germans. Okay, and all the British units are eliminated, so this concludes our game. Let me count German losses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Germans lost 9 strength points, while Brits lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, it is 22, because I counted the number of units and each of them has 2, so there are 22 strength points lost for Allies. So it is definitely German quick victory, because they managed to capture the island in the half of the time they had to do it. So that's all for this game. It is pretty short scenario, and I would say this is a bit one-sided. Of course, it depends on the rolls, because Germans had quite a good rolls in this battle. But I played this scenario before, and I remember at last one battle where Brits managed to keep this island till the end of the game, because Germans had quite bad rolls and Allies had quite a good rolls. So, thank you for watching, and see you again.